Hey there, welcome to Cosmic Confessions, a podcast by your spiritual besties.
I'm Alex.
I'm Avery.
And I'm Melissa.
Coming at you unhinged,
unfiltered,
and unedited.
Join us on this journey as we explore the profound,
the practical,
and the unlimited potential within us.
Let's awaken our spirits, ignite our passions, and elevate our lives together as the universe speaks and we listen.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another spicy episode of Cosmic Confessions. We're so excited that you're tuning in today. This is another juicy one. So, disclaimer. Spicy disclaimer. If you have little ears around, we are going to be speaking about things that would be considered adult content. So please be sure to pause. Okay, and then come back. Again, like we said last episode, remember, this is just our perspective, our opinion. Of course, there are a lot of opinions when it comes to the topic of the day, which is the vegetable corn. So we will be using corn in as a synonymous descriptor of something else. So without further ado, Avery, let's continue this juicy conversation. Give us the confession.
All right. So our confession today is that true intimacy awaits all of our listeners, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually maybe closer than you think. So if you and your partner or yourself are struggling with corn, right, that let's try to detox. Let's find ways to reconnect in a more spiritual way.
Love it.
It's right there for you.
Right there for you.
All right, let's dive in here.
What's question numero uno, Alex? What we got?
What's the first step in detoxing from corn? And how can you begin to reconnect with yourself and your partner?
Ooh. Maybe I'll start us off with this
Go
one.
for it, yeah.
Okay. So what I wrote down is asking the questions, getting to kind of like what Avery said, kind of what you said in the last episode is why? Like, why are you turning to this? What is the intention behind it? Are you doing it with agency, or are you kind of just like, because it's an old habit, you're doing it? So I think asking the hard questions is why. And then once you figure out, okay, this is why I'm doing it, then you could shift to the how. Then you could shift to, okay, if I'm doing this for the reason of disconnection, right, in my relationship or just with myself, okay, well, now you need to engage in things for connection so you can rekindle that. So I think it's like the strategy is going to depend on the why behind it, if that makes sense. You know, so that's what I wrote down is asking the why and then figuring out the how. And also, like, I feel like with corn, there's shame comes up so much for people, whether it's with a partner or by yourself. Like, so also, like, with any bad habit or anything that you feel like is not helpful, just if shame is coming up, face it head on, call it out. Because that's the thing, shame dies when when vulnerability is present. So like being honest and vulnerable with yourself and your partner, I feel like helps like mitigate shame that could come up too, if that makes sense.
For sure.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
For me, so again, going to the root of it, but like maybe someone in a relationship like has like a deeper issue. Like, is there like, you know, is there some sort of like addiction? Because you know, unfortunately, I've been with someone where like it was like years of like me finding out things that I didn't want to know, and then finally at the very end of it all, they were like, well, I think I'm like addicted, I think it's like a problem. And like you know, it was like upsetting in a way, because like I felt like I spent so much time and energy on like wanting to be like, hey, let's try couples therapy for this reason and that reason, but never thinking that corn was like a reason for it, right? Like I just thought there was like other problems, but I think it just it's layered in, and you know, maybe someone has like an actual like issue that they need like
it's a thing
help with.
It's a thing. It's a thing for sure.
So I think to detox is having that conversation and see at what tier is this really an issue? Is it going to make or break your relationship? Is it something you two are totally not on the same page with? Is it like, is someone can make that compromise like we talked about on our last podcast, or like, you know, what can you do from here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me too, it is about like the awareness and then radical honesty, which is I think the hardest part. Like you were
you
saying,
gotta
like
be
having
honest.
the vulnerable conversation, but also first admitting that like, hey, this is a habit, right? Maybe it's a habit, maybe it's an addiction. It's something that's been programmed for so many years. Like in the last episode, we're exposed to this stuff at like 12, 13, 14 years old. And this is what we're now learning for years and years and years. It's hard to now break that pattern. Yeah. And I think so it's becoming aware that it is a pattern, that it is a habit, that it's potentially an escape, that it is a way to numb or detach or a way to kind of release, right? Like a lot of people use it also as a stress release of like, okay, I just want to, I need to like, I'm feeling the urge and I need to just be able to finish so then I can kind of come back to myself. And it's like, but in trying to come back to yourself, you're actually disconnecting further. So for me, I would say that's the first step is having the awareness of like, where am I at, right? Is it a habit? Is it a pattern? Is it an addiction? And then, okay, how can I now find ways to replace it, right? So I feel like to connect back with self, it's going to the gym, it's spending time in nature, it's being able to move the body, to find other ways to have that dopamine hit that are actually healthy. And then I think with your partner, it's about having those tough conversations, becoming really vulnerable, being able to reconnect where you are maybe talking about going slower, setting the mood, having candles, reading some books or smut or, lightening it up, maybe watching movies that have sex scenes that aren't just so directly corn. And starting to slowly ease off. And again, though, it all really comes back to that tough conversation of like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. I want to make these changes. Can you please be patient with me? Because I'm willing to do so. We just kind of have to work as a team now to figure out what that looks like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
A problem and some solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also
that's my thing.
It is. And also just one other disclaimer. If you feel like, sorry, it's the therapist in me, but if you feel like there is a legit addiction going on, there is also nothing wrong with seeking out professional help to deal with it, just like any other addiction.
For sure.
Right? So a licensed clinical therapist or mental health counselor, a sex therapist can really help you if you feel like it's beyond you and your partner navigating that. There's plenty of helpful clinicians out there.
And please reach out to us if you do need some guidance.
Yeah, we can give some referrals to some amazing
and I do
practitioners.
work with a lot of the sex aspect of a relationship. So
just do some Kundalini yoga, drink some cacao, open your heart, sit on each other's laps, and like just
eye gaze.
Like, that's
deep
what
breathing.
You need. Play a root chakra bowl, get everything vibrating down there, and you're good to go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, listen,
but really,
not really.
Yeah. I don't know. But no, for some people, yes, they need to reconnect in that way, especially if they're engaging in corn for disconnection.
Yeah.
What you should be doing is doing practices to connect with each other.
Sure.
So, yes.
But again, I think a lot of people aren't aware that they're disconnecting. So I think that's why it's like
self-awareness.
Sitting with self and being like, let me get really honest here. Like, how often am I watching it? And how often am I craving it? And how much am I using that as my basis of any form of physical intimacy?
And one other thing. Like when I worked in a mental health clinic and I worked with a lot of people who had substance use addictive behaviors and diagnoses and everything, one of the ways how you can really tell that something's a problem is how is it impacting you functioning in other areas of your life? Is it impacting your job? Is it impacting your relationship? Is it impacting how you show up in your life? If it's all about how it's impacting your overall functioning in your life. If it's bleeding into other things, there's a problem there that needs to be spoken to. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Carry on.
That was great. I love that. Okay, so my question is, do you feel like if your partner watches a ton of porn that it's considered micro cheating? And is it a deal breaker for you if they continue, either needing outside validation for other females or giving other females like likes and DMs and comments, like emojis, little peach emojis, like
an eggplant emoji?
Eggplants, like Jesus Christ. Like where does it
where does it start and
What
stop?
is it for you guys?
Again, like the previous episode, it's a freaking slippery slope.
Yeah.
It has to be boundaried because
Yeah.
before you know it,
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah, it spirals, right?
It can spiral, and I feel like it comes down to trust, boundaries, and emotional impact. Trust, boundaries, and emotional impact. Do you trust your partner?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I said
What
this
are
off
the-
camera.
right.
Like, one partner that I was with, like, this was an issue. It became out of hand. Like, if I met someone new and they, said that there was like interest in certain things, kinks.
Yeah.
Like, you're innocent until proven guilty. Like, let's have the conversation and explore these things and come up with the root and everything we're talking about, and then I will make my judgment. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, but the question, do I think that there is micro cheating here? Sometimes, yes. Unfortunately, because I feel like I was in it. Like, like I just think that there's emotional cheating, especially like watching it is one thing, but then if you have this person engage in conversation with you and it's like maybe like live pictures
Like,
going
or
back and
OnlyFans
forth,
or
or like,
whatever.
once you're getting into these apps where you're paying for like, it's too much. Like, no, it's out. It's out for me.
Right.
Yeah, I feel
It's
like
out.
it's not so black and white, because I do think, right, there is the fine line of, okay, if we're not together for a week or 2 weeks because we're traveling, and you engage in that here and there, am I going to be mad? No. Am I thrilled? Also no, because I personally, again, right, it's this ongoing of me saying like sex is about connection. So for me, it's like, if you need that to get off but you have me here, why is that not enough? And not like, because I know what I bring to the table and I know what I bring to the bedroom. So for me, it's like, all right, if we do need to sit down then and have a conversation, because I agree with you. I do think there is a micro doses of cheating in that, because your man or woman is getting off to somebody else. And now the visuals of that, like, I feel like it can go the slippery slope of like, so now are they picturing that person while they're in bed with you? And if, depending on what their type is, like, I've heard also from men, and I'm sure some women feel this way too, that like that the corn they watch are women that they're okay degrading, but not women they'd want to date. But then it's like, okay, so what are you then picturing in the bedroom? Are you picturing the women that you would degrade, or are you picturing now your partner?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the deeper layer here, which I think what the three of us are saying in a lot of ways, is when it comes to corn, for us, there's an emotional intimacy dimension to it, where I feel like, because of how we view it and how we, you know what I'm trying to get at? It's like there's this emotional intimacy part that I think a lot of men, especially, they don't experience it that way. They don't see it that way. Yeah. So they might not be connecting to the content in an emotional dimension or level like we are, but that's also the reason why I think we see it as like micro cheating, because we have this assumption that you're emotionally connecting to this character, you're emotionally connecting to this woman in this space. Meanwhile, they disassociate. Yeah, they don't. It's not. So I think if we were to, if a male was the fourth chair here, I think they would disagree. I think they would say, no, it's not micro cheating at all. I don't connect with women like on screen in that way, but we do. So like that's why I think it's an important question, because it comes down to trust. You trust the partner. What are your boundaries around it? And remember, like, cheating isn't just physical. There is an emotional aspect to cheating and betrayal. And so I think, because I've experienced this before in relationship, I think if someone is being secretive about it, if someone is betraying you emotionally when you've tried to build a life with somebody, it's a problem.
Snap, snap.
It's a problem. And again, that's why I said in the last episode, if you're gonna enjoy corn, by all means, but you gotta do it with intention. You gotta be careful.
And you gotta have a conversation.
And you have to have a conversation. So then you're in your own agency and you're honoring each other's boundaries around it.
Because I think there are some couples who are okay with both sides, right? Watching it and enjoying it if they're not together, if they are together. But again, I think it is like a balance aspect.
Use each other as content.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone has an iPhone these days. Just
Exactly.
Get a little dressed up. And
Like if your man's going away for 2 weeks
and sign an
hop on
NDA.
FaceTime. Yeah, exactly. Oh god.
oh boy. But yeah, I agree. Like use
Don't be a
each
Kim
other.
Kardashian. Sorry.
And if that's not enough, explore why each other is not enough to get off when you're not together. I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah.
I think that's just a boy brain right there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's just different wiring. It's just different wiring.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What an
I really wish we had a man here right now.
do.
So we can
Maybe
banter.
season 3.
Yeah, maybe we'll pull up some men
Wait,
for these questions. We'll
We
bring
should-
it back.
We should just call people when we're done with this.
Just put them on speaker.
Yeah.
Bonus episode.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That would be funny.
That would be funny. So we got a question. Okay.
Keep going.
All right. Okay, question number 3, my turn. If you could go, this is a good one to end. If you could go back and rewrite the way that you first learned about sex and pleasure, what would you change?
Do you want me to start or you want to start?
I mean, mine's pretty quick.
If you could turn
Yeah.
back time.
I love it. So not for me personally, but I've had some friends tell me that when they were children, they got like shamed for like masturbating and stuff. So I think this really does come from like, it's like at a very young age,
Yeah.
you know, like now that I have 2 boys, right? Like I would never, like if they're in the bath, like, and they're just like, you know, they're little boys, right? I would never be like, don't touch that, right? Like
Sure.
it really starts at a very, very young age. And for me, like for some reason, I don't really know exactly the moment, but there was somewhere in my upbringing where sex became like taboo, right? Where it's like, we don't talk about it. Like it's just, I don't know, just like wasn't present in my life as a very young age. Like, but also I look at like the broader picture. There wasn't like the couples in my family, like no one really like hugged or kissed in front of one another. So I think because, you know, there wasn't a lot of physical connection that I saw growing up, like I didn't know what was okay, what was not okay, like how I feel, right? Like we joked about this last season, but like before even meeting just like Alex, like she was the one that like told me how, like just hug someone, like touch someone,
intimacy,
just like
literally.
physical intimacy was like tanked, like you know.
She was like, absolutely not. I was like, please love me.
And then you like sit and like hug her for like 5 minutes straight, and then finally you're like, oh, this is so bad, like
Oh, I feel safe here.
yeah, this is, you know. So yeah, for me it was just like there's like where on that spectrum was sex like taboo and then careless, like finding that happy medium of like you know, being sacred, intimate. And for me, honestly, it didn't really come until after my marriage.
Yeah.
Like trying to conceive my 2 babies was hard, and I know looking back on it now was because of, it wasn't being fertile or not fertile, it was the energy and the connection.
The lack of,
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just feel more aware now and more free, and like can even just like talk about it. So,
yeah. I feel like for me, I grew up with being really close to my father, and he really imprinted, I don't know if I said this in another episode, but
Maybe.
he really imprinted in my head that like sex is about connection. It is about intimacy. It's about a man who appreciates you and values your body and, you know, loves you and will treat you right? So sex was always such a huge deal. But I think for me, the like rewriting aspect would be that just because now you've experienced sex with a guy who's done all of those things, if now things don't work, you don't have to stay longer than you want or feel trapped just because you've had sex. And that was a huge thing for me when I was little, was like younger, not little. Was like, okay, well, we just had this experience and this was really amazing, and now we're in this, but like I'm not happy, or you're not happy, or this isn't working, but now we had this experience, so I have to stay with you.
Yeah, like you took a piece of me.
Yes. And you
like,
experienced my body, so now we can't leave each other. Now we have to stay together. And that became really unhealthy with me for multiple of my relationships, where it's like, okay, just because sex was involved, now there was a part of me that started to feel trapped. And I would rewire that of like, yes, sex is still about connection and intimacy and like the beautiful depth of vulnerability and just being with one another. But that doesn't mean that it has to be forever. And that does mean that you can still have that kind of run its course and be able to move on in a healthy way and not feel shame and guilt for ending that, even though they've experienced part of you.
I love it. Yeah, it's like it doesn't have to be something you endure to keep someone close or for the sake of the energy that you put into the relationship. Absolutely. Yeah, and I feel like for me, I wish I learned at an earlier age that that level of intimacy is for me first and not necessarily only for somebody else to validate my worth or how pretty I am or how sexy I am. Like, no, it's the pleasure's mine first and then another person's that I'm sharing with another person. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. I wish, and again, because like I practiced like hardcore, like non-denominational Christianity for a long time, I feel like I felt so much, I think I shared this on another episode, like I just felt so much shame in that space, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. Like I was married and like, you know, I did all the right church things, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's not supposed to be like that. And also the performative thing, I wish like as teenage girls or like young adult females, like we weren't like brainwashed to think that oh, you know, you got to be good in the bedroom, or he's not going to want you, or if you don't do this the right way, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh my God, it has nothing to do with that really at all. It's like, and like you said, it's an honor to be in like my presence in the bedroom in that space, not the other way around. Like, so I wish I was like, I wish our culture did a better job at teaching us how to feel empowered, not disempowered, and giving our power away, you know?
I love that. That's really powerful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I will say for you guys, right, is really asking yourselves those questions, right? How can you rewrite your script around sex and what it means to you and your partner? How can you figure out ways to detox or have your partner detox from porn in a way where there is the emotional connection, there is the vulnerability, there is now an openness to really form a new level of what connection looks and feels like. So we would love to hear more. I mean, fill us in. Let us know where you're at. Let us know if any of this is like sitting with you or if there is some like triggers that are being, you know, pushed on a little bit. Yeah. We're here for all of it. So again, this is our opinion. This is how we see things through our lens. And we're just hoping that it can shift the way you will ask yourself or your partner certain questions as well. So until next time, we are excited and we appreciate your time and energy.
Yes.
Nice job, episode 10.
Yes. We'll see you next time.
Right.
Bye.